Technology has made the world much more complicated every single day. It's solved a lot of problems, but it's also created problems as well. And part of that is the skill gap has become larger almost by the hour. There are so many tools out there to help you manage your business or just do life, and that can be overwhelming. Hi, I'm Chris LeBrun, your host of the Wholistic Productivity Podcast. As someone who's never been afraid of dreaming big and going for it all, I often find myself with a lot on my plate. I'm a husband and father, a nonprofit fundraiser, and an entrepreneur. What I've realized is my view of productivity was pretty toxic. After decades of believing that in order to do more, you had to work harder, I began to see productivity as this beautiful thing. Holistic productivity is the idea that you can accomplish your professional, personal, and purpose-driven goals in a healthy way, and doing so will make you happier and more fulfilled. Join me each week as we break down myths about productivity, share practical tips for maximizing your time, energy, and focus, and hear from others about their productivity journey. This is the Wholistic Productivity Podcast. Hello, friend. Welcome to episode number 11 of the Wholistic Productivity Podcast. I'm your host, Chris LeBrun. I'm a productivity coach, and I'm just so glad that you are here for this episode. We are going to cover some great information that I think can be useful to you every day as you are trying to achieve your dreams, achieve your goals, and just live the life that you want to live. So thank you so much for being here and making this part of that journey. That means a lot to me. Hopefully you're finding some benefit from the show. And if you are, I hope you've subscribed. We come out every Tuesday with a new episode. So subscribing or following is the best way for you to get that new content just as soon as it drops. And we're on all major podcast platforms, so you can find us there. But I just want to say a quick thanks before we get started here to everyone who has already subscribed and followed and liked the show and rated it 5 stars. That means a lot for other people who are trying to find the show and get the benefit that you are getting from this as well. So with all of that said, again, thank you. Glad that you are here. Let's get into today's conversation. This is part 2. Of a conversation that we started last episode about why we aren't productive. And that's important to understand because if our productivity is suffering, we want to know why so that we can do something about it. So if we took all the reasons that there are for poor productivity and boiled them down, there would be 4 categories. Last week in episode 10, we looked at the first 2 categories of reasons that we're not productive. We looked at motivational reasons. Maybe it's procrastination or distraction or just the mental space and energy that you bring to a project. And we also looked at organizational or systems reasons that you may not be productive. Do you have the authority? Do you have the right strategy? And is there clear and good communication? If you haven't heard that episode, there'll be a link in the show notes where you can go back and find that episode and listen to it. This week, though, we're going to look at the final 2 categories, and those are skills and time. Let's face it, poor productivity often comes down to our skill set. We can have the right motivation, we can have the correct organizational elements in place, but our productivity can still be thwarted if the right tools aren't in our toolbox. Part of this can be traced to our general lack of knowledge. Technology has made the world much more complicated every single day. It's solved a lot of problems, but it's also created problems as well. And part of that is the skill gap has become larger almost by the hour. There are so many tools out there to help you manage your business or just do life, and that can be overwhelming. You can't possibly know everything that you are supposed to know. This is especially true for entrepreneurs, primarily when you're starting out, right? There's just so much that's going on. In my situation, I'm a productivity coach, right? I know productivity, but I have to know podcasting and email marketing and web design and social media and sales and promotion and production and supply chain. All of these things can be areas that slow me down due to my lack of expertise in some of those areas or many of those areas, right? One strategy to increase your knowledge is to embrace a stance of continual learning. I used to think that, when I graduated from college, I'd be done with my education. And then I went and got my MBA. And then I thought, okay, that's it. I'm going to be done. But there's continuing education for my profession. I have to continually learn what's going on in my industry. And learning happens around us all the time. I got to give props to my dad right now. I was talking to him a couple days ago, and he's 87. He's learning how to use Chat GPT. He was telling me all about that. So shout out to Dad for still learning even at 87. So carve out small amounts of time each day, every week, every month to learn one thing. Listen to a podcast, watch a video, take a course, read a book. All of these things can contribute to that desire to be continually learning. Another skills-based reason that our productivity is suffering is our lack of proficiency. There are things that we do regularly, but not often enough to be proficient about it. My undergraduate degree was in broadcasting, particularly video production, but that was eons ago, right? I'm almost embarrassed to say this, and a little bit proud as well, we actually learned video editing on a linear editing system. This is not digital. So you would start by laying down time code, and then you would assemble your video in order, right? You couldn't just move things around. It wasn't digital. Then I made the transition to digital editing, and wow, mind blown. I've done a lot of editing on several different platforms, but I don't edit every day. Can I still edit? Yes, probably. Am I good at it? Maybe, maybe not. Am I fast? Absolutely not. And that's why when I led a marketing and communication team at an insurance company, I didn't edit videos for the company, right? I turned that over to somebody who was proficient at video editing. Just because I can do something doesn't mean that I should. There's a great book out there by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy. These are some favorite authors of mine. The book is called Who, Not How. And the premise of the book is, rather than trying to figure out how to do something, figure out who can do it for you. In my professional world, I talked about hiring a video editor to work with us for our video projects. In my personal life, I've stopped doing my own lawn care. I travel a lot, and it was just getting challenging to do that. So I have somebody who's an expert at lawn care, and my lawn looks 100 times better than when I was doing it, and I have more time for the things that matter to me. And then in my purpose-driven world for holistic productivity, I could have built my website by myself. It would have taken so much longer than finding a who to do it for me. And I found a great website developer who has designed an amazing site that saved me time and energy and gave me a much better site, frankly. You need to stay focused on the things that bring the most value to you or your business and the things that align most with your skills that you already have. The last thing related to skills is just flat out unwillingness to learn. If you are stuck in a rut and choosing to do things the same way you've always done them, your productivity is going to suffer. Look, the world is changing every single day, and we have to adapt. Maybe not down in the nitty-gritty, getting your hands dirty. We talked about that, right? But having that willingness to look at new ways of doing things. and then finding someone to help you do that new thing. That's one of the advantages of finding a who. They have a different approach, and sometimes that is needed. And our unwillingness to try new ideas, it may be one of those things that prevents us from hiring somebody or bringing somebody on board to do the things that we are struggling with doing, and that can have a big difference. So just always have that openness and willingness to learn, and you can improve your productivity. Let's pause here for a quick break. We'll be right back. This episode is sponsored by Efficient.app. Big shout out to Alex and Andra from Efficient.app for sponsoring the Wholistic Productivity Podcast from the very beginning. We love that. When you are looking for new software, Efficient.app is the place to go. They have already done all the research for you, which saves you the headache of doing a trial of every single app you want to look at. They offer hundreds of product reviews and comparison videos that are informative and fun to watch. Want to hear how Motion stacks up against Monday.com or Asana or ClickUp? They have a review for that. Here's what I love. They promise no BS software reviews. They tell you exactly what they love and what they don't love. And best of all, they have negotiated special deals, discounts, or even extended trial periods for a bunch of different products. If you're going to look for software, do yourself a favor and let Efficient.app do the work for you. Click on the link in the show notes. That's the best way to get there, because you'll let them know that you appreciate them sponsoring the Wholistic Productivity Podcast as well. Check them out, Efficient.app. The link in the show notes. You won't regret it. The final category of reasons that we aren't productive comes down to good old-fashioned time and time management. This is one of those things that you often think about when you think about productivity, right? It's classic, but how you manage your time is critical, and poor time management will just kill your productivity every single time. This is a combination of some of the things that we've already talked about in both episodes of this series, right? Having a clear strategy, avoiding distractions. If you know what your priorities are, you need to schedule time for them. That comes with your Sunday strategy session, right? It's the weekly planning tool that can help you identify and schedule your priorities. If you haven't downloaded your free Sunday strategy worksheet yet, I encourage you to do that. It comes with a guide that tells you how to use the worksheet. Like I said, it's absolutely free. You can find that at mysundaystrategy.com, but it's just a great way to schedule your week, schedule your priorities. You can also find it in the Holistic Productivity Planner, and that is available as well. I'll put links for all of this in the show notes. If you don't know what your priorities are, you need to take a step back and look at the big picture. Short-term goals should be aligned with your long-term vision. And long-term vision needs to be based on your values. If you're not sure what your values are, or you don't have a long-term strategy, you can book a free strategy call, and we can talk about that. Again, link will be in the show notes for that. Your short-term goals are the next thing that you need to do, the highest priority that you need to have for hitting your long-term goals. And I've talked about my goal roadmap in the Holistic Productivity Planner. There was also a podcast episode that we've talked about that. But this is a great way for you to walk through the process of creating your short-term goals. Balancing your other responsibilities is another challenge, or can be another challenge, related to time that affects our productivity. We can become so focused on one set of priorities that we overlook all the others. Maybe that's a huge project at work, so we forget about taking the car in for new tires, or we become so focused on our side business that we forget to maintain a healthy lifestyle. I've been guilty of that. if I'm being honest with you, there was little to no consistent exercise in my 20s, 30s, and even into my early 40s. And I have regrets about that now that I'm in my 50s, right? This is what the whole premise of holistic productivity boils down to. This is why I designed the Holistic Productivity Planner, to help you focus on every area of your life: professional, personal, and purpose driven. I like keeping each of those areas in my life separate so that I can focus on each one, but I still have a strategy and a intention, a design for each one of those areas. Another thing that you can use here to help you manage all these different priorities is time blocking. Now, I like doing this as part of my Sunday strategy process, but really you can do it anytime. If you're not familiar with time blocking, here's the simple idea behind it. You estimate how much time each task or project will take, and then you allocate a block of time for that project. This lets you see if you're stretched thin. It gives you clarity about what you need to be working on at any given time. Time blocking is great, but it requires two things. You have to estimate correctly, right? You have to know, yeah, this is going to take an hour, this is going to take 30 minutes, and have that time correct. And then you have to stick to the plan. Okay, it's 8:30. It's time for me to stop what I'm doing and switch over to this project and do this. So again, time blocking can be great for those other responsibilities that you are trying to manage and work through all at the same time. The last thing that we're going to look at with time management is our unexpected challenges. These can be another huge factor on your productivity. This could be technical issues, vendor delays, getting sick. This is why I talk about the importance of margin. If you don't have any margin in your life, in your time, unexpected challenges can derail your productivity. And in order for you to have margin, you have to be working ahead of schedule. I always like to have at least 2 episodes of this podcast recorded ahead of time in case something comes up. So that is one way that I build margin into my schedule. It's like with your budget. You want to have an emergency savings account in case something comes up. You want to have that buffer in your budget. Having margin in your schedule is exactly like your emergency fund for your finances. So how do you build margin into your schedule? Well, you have to start with that long-term vision or strategy. And then you have to build time into your schedule to work on future projects. And I'll tell you right now, if you are always procrastinating and doing things at the last minute, you will not have margin in your life. So you have to stop procrastinating and look ahead. I recommend spending about 10% of your time working on future projects. These are projects that are due several weeks from now or maybe a month from now. The more consistent that you can be with that 10% rule, the better off you're going to be. And what that underscores is the importance of strong productivity so that you can do 100% of your work that you need to do today in 90% of your time, so that you can have that 10% to create the buffer or the margin that you need in the future. So that's why all of this is important. And that applies to every area of your life. It's not just your professional life, it's your personal life as well. You need to have that margin so that you can allow for these unexpected emergencies to pop up. So there you have it. We've talked about 4 categories of reasons why we are not productive. Last episode, we looked at motivation and organization. In this episode, we looked at our skill set and our time management. And to recap what we've talked about in this episode, our skill can hold us back in several different ways. We can have a lack of knowledge that will slow us down. So you always want to be learning and expanding your skill set. And this requires a certain mindset. This requires you to be open to the idea of learning and to make that a priority in your life. The right mindset is also required for our lack of proficiency. It's important to have a knowledge of different types of tasks, but we don't have to be the expert. Sometimes it's better to find a who to help you with a project or with a task or skill rather than finding how to do it. So check that book out, Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy. Again, link are in the show notes. And the last thing with just the lack of knowledge is an unwillingness to learn. This is probably the worst of all because it is that stubbornness. It is, just that mindset that says we are not willing to learn anything new. And this may be the perfect time to find a who, because they can help us find new ways of doing things. We also looked at factors in the time category, the classic reasons for poor productivity. And of course, that comes down to time management. We talked about how planning your week and having a strategy session is so critical. MySundayStrategy.com has a free resource for you to plan your productive week, so check that out. Other responsibilities can hold us back if we don't have clear priorities, and we want to find that balance in life. That's what holistic productivity is all about. Make sure you have a strategy for all three areas of life: professional, personal, and purpose-driven. Blocking your time can help provide balance to your day so that you don't get overloaded. And finally, have margin in your schedule so that you can deal with unexpected challenges. That is so critical. Just like with your financial budget, you need to have an emergency fund for your time. Strong productivity practices can give you flexibility to spend working on long-term projects. I recommend spending 10% of your time working on future goals. That's it for the show today. I'm just so grateful that you are here, that you are spending this time with me so that we can learn how to be more productive on the things that matter most in our life. That's what it's all about. Check out the show notes. You can find those at holisticproductivity.com/11. This is episode number 11, so that makes it easy. You'll find all of the links that we have talked about in this episode and a link to the last episode. You can hear the first part of this series. And if you are subscribed on your favorite podcast platform or on YouTube, you can get those episodes as soon as they drop next Tuesday. And that's it. Again, we will have another great episode for you next week. You will not want to miss that. Be sure you follow at Holistic Productivity on all of the major social media networks. I put out a lot of great tips for productivity, some motivation thoughts. Again, that's a great place for you to just continue to grow in your productivity journey. Instagram, Facebook, Threads, LinkedIn, YouTube, we're all over all of those platforms. Thanks again for listening to the podcast. As always, my goal with this show is to help you dream big, plan smart, and live fully. See you next time. Before I sign off, close your eyes for a minute, unless you're driving. But close your eyes and imagine this. It's Friday. You're excited for the weekend. TGIF, right? You're wrapping up the work week, getting ready to leave the office. But as you're walking out the door, you start to reflect on the week and you say, what did I even accomplish this week? It's a frustrating feeling and a horrible way to start your weekend. You know that you've worked hard all week, but you have little or nothing to show for it. If you've ever had these feelings at the end of your week, I have a special offer for you to help you on your productivity journey. I talk about it all the time. Being intentional with your time is one of the biggest parts of productivity. And one of the best ways you can be intentional is to plan your week. Planning your week provides clarity on your priorities. It eliminates confusion about what needs to be done, and it sets you on a path for success. Now, I've developed the perfect tool to help you plan your week. I call it my Sunday strategy. And I want to give you my Sunday strategy worksheet and guide absolutely free when you sign up for my weekly newsletter. The guide offers clear strategies for using the principles of holistic productivity to plan your week. You'll have a mindset shift away from the toxic aspects of productivity, and you'll get step-by-step directions for using the Sunday strategy worksheet. With my Sunday strategy, you only need 15 minutes each Sunday to plan out your entire week. It'll let you identify major projects and tasks that are coming up, assign those projects to specific days, and best of all, there are different sections for each area of your life: professional, personal, and purpose-driven, so you can reach all of your goals. My Sunday strategy worksheet also includes a weekly habit tracker to keep you focused on the habits that you want to develop. So if you want to avoid those Friday feelings of frustration and despair, you need my Sunday strategy worksheet. It's the perfect planning tool to help you build the winning strategy for your week. It's a resource you can come back to each day to keep you focused on reaching your goals, and it's an accountability tool to help you track your progress. Basically, it can help you have the most productive week ever. Like I said, it is completely free when you sign up for my weekly newsletter, which also features more strategies and tips to help you dream big, plan smart, and live fully. To get my Sunday strategy worksheet and guide, go to mysundaystrategy.com and sign up. That's mysundaystrategy.com. There will also be a link in the show notes, but again, mysundaystrategy.com. Look forward to having you back here for the next episode of the Wholistic Productivity Podcast.